got yours truly, Petrov, fucker, in this motherfucker. Back with another, I guess, motherfucker. So we all know, like a month ago now, maybe, Trump was acquitted, and that was its own story in its own right. So many mad Twitter users that he somehow managed to scapegoat that sham trial. Best part of all that is Democrats have been scrambling to find something to stick to him to make him the bad guy. Yeah, I'm sure you all see it. And if you don't, I mean, I guess I'm going to call you a fucking sheep with the wool pulled over your eyes, because at this point, you're choosing to have that shit cover your eyes up. That's how I look at that. That could come off as mean or whatever, I don't give a fuck. But, man, if I've done seen like probably 10 articles at this point where it's the Democrats are pushing the narrative of the coronavirus going to be bad. Oh, it's going to be bad. I'm not going to say it's not. But they're really trying to push that. Yeah, Trump's saying it's not going to be as bad as it could be, this, that, the other thing. Take it all with a grain of salt as much as you want. Now, that being said, the fact that the Democrats have no shot in hell of beating Donald Trump. They're more focused on beating Bernie Sanders and getting Sanders not to be nominated. It's very clear. It's just clear. Sanders is the only one that actually has a differing opinion between all the people on stage. His opinion is fucking nuts. I mean, socialism versus fucking... I mean, it's not socialism versus anything, really. I mean, socialism hasn't worked in any country it's ever been implemented in. Not in any really way, shape, or form. And yeah, you can use Denmark and fucking Sweden and shit, but yeah, they also have very capitalistic markets. So, they may pay a higher tax portion and all this, but they also are able to make money on top of money, which capitalism is allowing people to do. Now, the way I see it is it'll be, if Sanders gets the nomination, it'll be capitalism versus socialism. Because it ain't going to be Republicans versus socialists. Because that's not going to happen. Trump is just a Republican because it's easy for him to be one. You got to change every view you've ever had to be on the left nowadays. Shit. And if you're not, they don't want you. And if you don't, I mean, they don't want you. Either way, they don't want you unless you fall in line and are a good little soldier on what they want to push. And Democrats weren't always like that. But definitely socialists are, and communists are. And I don't know how people in America that are born and raised in America have any idea on what socialism or communism is. They've never experienced it. How can you know about something you've never experienced? And I'm not talking about what your grandma experienced, or your great-grandma, or your great-grandpa. How do you know what socialism or communism is if you've never experienced that shit firsthand? You ever waited in breadline? I sure the fuck haven't. But I've never heard a good thing about him. Now you got Sanders out here defending Fidel Castro in a literacy program. He was re-educating the people he was trying to fucking overthrow. Just like Sanders... What was that? What was that to Sanders? Fucking Kyle something, Jurek or whatever? I don't remember his fucking last name. Don't really care, but he basically made it sound like if conservatives don't want to get down, they're going to lay down. He was some campaigning person for fucking Sanders. Sanders never said anything about any of that. He just kind of let that shit die down. And Project Veritas is still out here exposing motherfuckers and having ABC suspend their journalists. There, you can watch the video on YouTube. It's there. Granted, I'm rambling, yeah. But I think it's kind of fun. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Since I've done a show. And there's so much going on. It's hard to fucking pinpoint one thing. I'm not Tim Pool. I'm not Styx, Hexenhammer. I'm not Crowder. I'm not going to target one thing and go off on that. I'm just going to ball it all up and just talk about all of it, bits and pieces here and there. Why not? Doesn't really make a difference. The stories are there if you want to read them. The truth is out there. It ain't hard to find it. If you're openly watching CNN and taking everything CNN says as truth and as fact, that's, at this point, your problem. You can argue it, and you can hope it holds water, but it doesn't. Just like Sanders wants for free everything. It don't hold water. Shit, they expose that, but yet he just comes back with, we'll do this, we'll do that. Oh yeah, you're going to tax the billionaires, right? Yeah, what happens when the billionaires don't have billions anymore to pay that tax? You're going to attack the millionaires. Yeah, eventually the millionaires ain't going to have that shit either. Then who do you tax? Yeah, that pause is like a good question. You know what I'm saying? Because who the fuck knows? You're eventually going to have to work your way all the way on to the little guy that has to break their back anyways for the original bigwigs that were making all the money. And yeah, we all know there are some CEOs out there that never work a day in their life, but most of the CEOs, the people that I've worked for, are working 16-hour days. They always are on call. You know, being a business owner it isn't all fucking cracked up that it isn't all that it's cracked up to be. From what I've seen. Because at the end of the day, it's all on you. If you take that burden, yeah. But why does the guy that gets coffee have a right to power in the company? Why? You knew the job you signed up for. You knew it was probably just going to be getting coffee and running small errands or being someone's assistant. Why do you deserve stake in their company? You don't. You knew the job you signed up for. If you want stake in the company, go apply to be in a union. Yeah, we got Cenk Uygur getting all pissy about his union with the Young Turks. Yeah. If you follow politics, you know he's fucking wild, going mad about the fact that the Young Turks staff wants to start a union. But point being, though, if you're a little guy, you know what you sign up for. You got to work your way up. That's the whole point of getting a job. You start at the bottom and you work your way up. Yeah, you might have to grind. You might have to fucking cut your finger or fucking, get a little dirty. That's the way of life. It ain't all fucking supposed to be free and have everybody give everything to you. You want a free education? That's K through 12. Taxpayers pay for it. Teachers get a shitty wage. Deal with hellion students. But guess what? That's your free education. Get from it what you will. And if you want to pay to go to college, pay to go to college. But the same books they're going to give you in college are out there to read at the fucking library. Or you can go buy the book and then read the fucking book. It ain't rocket science. Because all you're doing is, at the end of the day, trades is where it's at. I'm not going to preach to anybody to go to college. You want to do it, you go to the trades. Become something that people are always going to need. Because degrees definitely ain't, you can have a master's in literacy arts and still end up working at Starbucks. I worked for a guy that was fucking an architect, went to the U of M for architecture or whatever it's called. He was a fucking architect. He was running a Chipotle. So again, his degree meant shit. Because what does architecture have to do with Chipotle? Not a goddamn thing. So my whole point here is my rambling is, what the fuck are the Democrats actually doing besides jumping at each other like it's a lunchroom? Not with teachers in control, not even with actual staff. We're talking paras. We're talking people that volunteer or get paid lowly amounts to be there just to make sure shit doesn't pop off or hit the fan. But you can sure be loud and yell amongst each other just like the Democrats did on their final debate. You got Biden out here for surely thinking he's going to win South Carolina. You got fucking every other candidate up there thinking the same thing. You got the fucking news outlets saying that Biden, somehow that was his strongest performance, and it was Sanders' weakest. They all had weak fucking performances. You couldn't be civil and have a civil conversation, let someone speak and then speak your piece? No, you guys all argued over each other. Like, y'all had a few beers or a few too many joints and just couldn't come to a fucking consensus. You couldn't even come to the consensus on the rules. But hey, that's not my party. That's y'all party. That's the Democrats' party. That's what they got. That's the people that are running for them. And yeah, Minnesota, we got stake in this game. We got Amy fucking Klobuchar in the running for presidency. She's a fucking horrible senator. Talking about criminal justice reform. Bitch, you were evil to people in Hennepin County when you were the prosecutor. Don't act like you weren't. And you stand by the same shit Kamala Harris did. You might not have done what she did, but you fucking stand by the same level of fucking hate. Yeah, you locked people up that were for bogus marijuana crimes. We can go back and look. It ain't rocket science. There's a reason people didn't vote for her. There's a reason that, I mean, yeah, she's been a senator for a long time. Probably most of my lifetime. I've always seen, every election season, I've always seen her name. So yeah, she beats out a lot of people. But I also think she has some very fucked views. Just like Sanders, just like Buttigieg, just like Steyer, just like fucking Biden. I mean, some of them ought to just drop the fuck out and can't take the loss. That's what I personally think. And the longer they go with this, the funnier it gets. Like, you can talk about this shit for days. You could break down the debate for 3 or 4 days before you run out of legitimate material on what you're going to run out of. I mean, shit. Biden made a comment talking about there have been more than 150 million people died from gun violence since 2007. That's half the United States population. That's not fucking true. Just like he said he was running for senator. And if you didn't want to vote for him, vote for the other Biden. What other Biden? And you're running for the presidency. You ain't been in office since 2009. As a senator, at least, yeah, you were vice president, but you weren't fucking in the Senate. So, come on now. Like, you guys, who's the candidate? Oh, and then we got the Russians helping Bernie. Oh, yeah, the Russian narrative is back. That shit didn't go very far. Didn't go very far the first time. It ain't gonna go very far the second time. I mean, except you got Bernie. I don't want Russia's help. But you fucking had your honeymoon in the Soviet Union. Yeah. Doubt that. Take from it what you will. If you vote for Bernie, that's your choice. Everybody's vote is their own. You vote for who you will for whatever your reasoning. I understand, like I've said before, I understand a lot of people don't like Trump because the way he speaks, the way his mannerisms, the body slam, the handicapped person or whatever it was, I don't really remember. I know they grab him by the pussy, all these other things. If you don't like him, you don't like him. That's cool. I don't really give a fuck. But statistically wise, he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do. So, I mean, you can't argue that. You can argue, yeah, more like what he says, his values, his morality. But at the end of the day, everybody's morality can be fucking broken down and torn apart by anybody. That's how you view shit. He's a businessman. So when I really see even Mini Mike Bloomberg up there, the only reason he's on that stage is he bought his slot. And he's gotten slammed each time he's been on the stage with him. Why? Because you bought your slot. You made it clear you spent $100 million on 20 different Congress people so that they were able to get elected. You helped put money into their campaigns. So at the end of the day, like the people there that are running for the Democrats, just like in fucking 2016 when the Republicans had fucking 18 seemingly fucking candidates. Why so fucking many? Like, there's only so many of you are actually qualified enough for the position. And you were beat out by a guy that was never a politician. And yet now you have 6 to 7 or 8 whatever politicians on stage that can't even act like adults. And that's where Republicans or conservatives are supposed to be worried about that. Yeah, we should never count our eggs before they hatch. Don't ever do that. Know full well that Trump could lose this shit. Very well he could. Hillary thought she was going to win that shit and had a handbag. I don't think Trump is that naive. Neither should his voters. So at the end of the day, if I can tell you one thing, that would definitely be, I guess, have fun as a Democrat and pick the best candidate, I guess. If you still hate Trump as much as you want, and at the end of the day, your hate isn't going to affect him. He's going to keep doing him. You're really not affecting any of his supporters or his voters or his base. And I mean, like I've said 100 times, it's at the end of the day, I guess it is what it is. We'll see what they do next. We'll see what they yuck up next, because they haven't done anything worth like that's been good in years. And like I said, I can go into local politics. I can go into with Ilhan Omar and the shit she's been trying to pull off. The fact that her brother, some Somali leader in the community, came out and literally said that